also, this is the Andy and Arnie show. Take it away, Arnie.
Fuck yeah, man. Today we're going to be discussing the Oscar award-winning film Jojo Rabbit. The synopsis for this movie is writer-director Taika Waititi, excuse me.
Such a great name.
It's a good one. It's great. It's perfect. Fits his personality. Begins his signature style of humor and pathos to this latest film, Jojo Rabbit, a World War II satire that follows a lonely German boy whose worldview is turned upside down when he discovers his single mother is holding a young Jewish girl in their attic. Aided only by his ironic imagery, aided by his imaginary friend Adolf Hitler, Jojo must confront his blind nationalism. How did you like this movie?
First of all, Arnie, I love this movie, but I just wanted to ask you before we get started, did you have I want to say like a popular, like a pop, something that like we all know, like a pop reference? Did you have an imaginary friend or somebody that you talked to like growing up as a child?
No, but like I totally talked to things. Like I never had like a single fucking entity that I had. Like,
did you ever have like an imaginary situation that you put yourself in?
All the time. I'm always saving the world. Every 5 seconds.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Like in every which way.
Like I was always a Power Ranger, like no matter what. Like,
for sure.
Okay.
I think, we've all got like that fantasy fulfillment, especially at guys. So yeah, dude, I'm always doing that.
I can really relate to like, I guess our Power Rangers was Johann's, Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler, and like a very nice Hitler. I mean, like honestly, if Hitler was this cool, I would totally be his friend too.
Yeah, he seemed even keeled, Yeah, he seemed like an even-tempered guy. But totally, I get what you're saying. As to like every young man, every like Western young man is about like fucking power and being the most strongest, and being the leader and the warrior. And then like he just wanted to be that.
It's like, hey, like these guys, they called me names. They said I was going to run this world into the ground. Look at me now. And I'm like, oh man, it's such a like great comedic relief from Adolf Hitler. Like,
I love that Taika wants to put himself in movies. He's literally the actor's director in that he's also an actor. Yeah,
written, directed, and starred.
Hell yeah! I aspire to that.
No, it's great, and you win an Academy Award. I don't know if like many like
he won it. I think it was Best Adapted Screenplay.
I don't think many go to Academy Awards with a written, directed, and starred in, except for Clint Eastwood. Obviously, Clint Eastwood.
And Affleck almost did it.
So I remember in high school you liked. Then correct me if I'm wrong, please. I remember you introduced me at least to Flight of the Conchords. We watched Flight of the Conchords.
Did I? Fuck yeah. That was Taika.
Is that correct?
I know I liked Flight of the Conchords. I don't know if I showed it to you.
Yeah, but I'm just remembering like we used to watch it together. Like I didn't have HBO, so I'd go over and watch it with you, right? So like, for sure you were an influence of that with me, right? So was that really him?
He directed those, if I'm not mistaken.
So one of my favorite movies from that time that came out because I liked Flight of the Conchords that like spun off of that was Eagle versus Shark. Did you remember Eagle versus Shark?
I watched it. It was super weird.
Ahead of its time weird, but it was super unique the way our cult classic of our generation, Napoleon Dynamite was. Like it was unique and it was funny.
Yes.
And it was awkward as fuck that we could relate to.
It was the first time I'd ever seen a romantic comedy that dealt with
actual pains that you do.
Yeah, like how I think an actual person would attack trying to be in a relationship while dealing with their own shit, with it having a little bit more of a comedic tinge, but it was more real than you would think it would be if you're watching it on surface level, and I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't have taken it that way. But yeah. Because like the guy's not likable.
No.
The girl's cute, but she really likes him. And like there's a moment where you're like, why would you like this guy? But then like as it goes on, you're just like, look, she just does. And he's not completely terrible.
Right, but it's more right, and he's like he's pretty awkward, and he's never really like, why do you even like this guy? And she just loves him. You know, she unconditionally loves him.
Yeah.
And that was like so true to the way actual relationships work. There was so much truth in it in my like that it felt relatable. And they took a scenario that was very like unreal, and they made it they brought it down to earth. And that's how I felt with this movie, Jojo Rabbit. Like he takes these scenarios that, you know, we've all like known in history as like surreal. Like, how could you ever live in this time? And like, blah, blah, blah. I would have done this. I would have done that. And he brings those feelings and everything that's going around down to earth. And he's just like, I'm going to fucking, if I see a Jew, I'm going to fucking kill him. They look like aliens. They shoot out rays. Like they do all this shit. And like, you know, and like, it makes you kind of think like your mom's telling you like, don't listen to that garbage. You know, like it just it makes it so relatable that like, he really does make these awkward feelings and all this stuff. So it just brings these two worlds, and it really helps this film coagulate. I don't know.
No, I know. I completely agree. That's totally one of the points I was going to make about this movie, because that's like what the masterpiece of this. That's what this movie like. That's what it does so well. It combines basically 4 different movies and makes them all work independently of each other in a really elegant way. It's a coming of age story about a little kid who's trying to deal with his emotions and trying to figure out life. From liking girls to being a tough guy to the bullies, right? And that's a fun movie. It's a roller coaster of emotion. Like, yeah, like that movie alone, like that, just a kid movie is a really fun time. It's a great movie. And then on the top layer, it's a movie about fucking Nazis.
Yeah.
Right? Like straight up Nazis with all the tropes that a Nazi movie has. But then that Nazi movie is also super, super dark and real, but with a nice little comedic twinge because it's got that kid story in it, right?
Do you remember Zombieland, like, and how like revolutionary Zombieland was to our, like, not our generation, but like to that generation, because we took something that was taken so seriously and done on repeat over and over and over again. Like, I am so sick of zombies, The Walking Dead, you know, like every season. And like, it took something that just had been done over and over again, and they put a twist in it. They were like, let's make this funny. Like, let's change genre on it. Let's stop doing what they did. And let's put a twist. And like, I feel like Zombieland did do that. Like Zombieland, I don't think it's a great movie. It was revolutionary or anything, but they added this nice twist to it that like, wait, we can make one of these kind of funny. We can, you know, we've had all these World War II movies. We've had all this, you know, Nazi Germany stuff. We had, what am I thinking of? Like, we had Quentin Tarantino's.
Oh, Inglourious Bastards?
We had Inglourious Bastards.
Fuck.
You know, within this decade or last decade, whatever it was. And like now we've like, all right, we've hit that, you know, we've beaten the dead horse for sure. But to add this kind of twist, you know, add this thing where like, you know, like we're so over Nazi movies, and then to add this new element to it and add this and then spin this genre to me was really refreshing. I think it was a good take on this type of film.
To your point about Zombieland, I think the reason Zombieland works so well is because it does the one thing with zombie movies that you don't expect a zombie movie to do. It really makes the zombies not that threatening, and it just turns it into this movie about these people, right? Mm-hmm. And in this, like the master stroke of this movie is.
I love the way you said that. Like it takes it away from what it is, right? It takes it away from the zombies. They're not threatening. They're just zombies.
Yeah.
Like, let's just concentrate on people reacting to those zombies, but like not even just reacting to the zombies. We've already done that too.
Yeah.
These are human lives. Let's make them real.
Yeah.
Keep going.
100%.
Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's like the best movies of the last 10 years have done that. That's why the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is so damn good.
Yeah.
That's why fucking Jurassic Park is so damn good, the original one, because it's not about fucking the dinosaurs. It's about Dr. Grant figuring out how to like save kids in the middle of him trying to figure out if he wants to be a father or not. You know, like those kind of like that's what a movie should do, right? Should really like communicate feelings to you without you having to listen to any, like without you actually having to listen to the story, but just kind of view with your eyes what's happening with these characters. But that's what this movie does really well, because it's about a very dark thing, like the zombies, right? They'll fucking kill you, right? They're vicious animals, right? This one's about zombies, which are in history like the number one enemy that everyone on the planet agrees with. Like, we're still killing them in movies and video games all the time, you know? And what's so great about this is that this isn't about us fighting Nazis. This is about a kid fighting the Nazi in himself and trying to clutch and actually understand, like, the movie begins with this kid wanting to be something, so like wanting to be the hero of his story, which is a Nazi, right? And us as the viewer, we know how terrible Nazis are. But this kid sees them as heroes, and he wants to be a hero. And this movie slowly, through a really fun kids coming of age movie, which takes a lot of Wes Anderson tropes. For sure.
You see that guy like throw the knife and you stab somebody, and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be a Wes Anderson film where that doesn't even make sense in the movie. And you're like, no, it all fits into the plot. It's great. Like
100%, dude. This is like, there's so, like, Moonrise Kingdom.
Beautiful.
Taika took so much from that movie. So down to the way the movie looks, everything, like, it's like the first half hour of this movie is Moonrise Kingdom with a different color palette. Like, seriously. Which, again, it's that movie. It's a fun coming of age movie with this kid trying to figure out life.
His writing style makes it flow so much better. I think the cohesive portions of the story just like add on to this brilliant. I don't know, man. I just love the pace of this. It was brilliant.
It does everything really good movies always do. Every moment counts. There's no moment that is left for granted. Like, there's nothing left on the screen. Every moment you're engaged, it's a story. That's the fucking key indicator of a good movie, man. But yeah, it's that great Wes Anderson movie. But then it takes place in a very real dark time in history, and it brings that dark time in history right into your face by giving you Hitler as a character in this movie, right? And eventually, the kid, and like, you know what's going to happen, slowly this reality kind of crushes that Wes Anderson movie and destroys it slowly by picking apart pieces of it. First, he gets taken out of the camp, right? Yep. Then he loses faith of the Hitler regime because he finds a girl that his mom has been hiding, and then he takes away the trust he has in his mother, because he finds out that his mother might be working for the Jews because of the girl, and then that little piece of propaganda.
Or the rebellious, basically the liberals of that area, of that time.
And then they take away his mom. Dude, that moment. And you don't see it coming. And then when it happens, you realize what you've seen before. Yeah. The reason, like, you see it before, like, when you see it happening, you're like, oh, that's why the SS went to his house.
Exactly, like, because the first thing he says, he's like, what do you do? Like, I remember, like, the first scene where he's like, what do you do if you find a Jew? I'm like, you just report it to the blah, 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 and then they come to your house. And then all of a sudden you're just, like, thinking, like, oh, shit, they showed up at his house. Like, I remember, a couple scenes when he said this would happen, and like that kind of thing starts happening, and you're just like, you're kind of starting to be startled a little bit.
No, it's like, it's this one, like, this movie is written so fucking well. And the reason it's written so well is because there's there's like true emotional impact of scenes going throughout where you just start to figure out why they're happening without these things being told to you completely. Do you know? Can you get what I'm saying there?
Yeah.
And like slowly, and like that scene's so fucking like in that scene where this SS is coming in, you're like wondering what's gonna happen. It's really tense, right?
Yeah, and rewatching it. I mean, rewatching anything. First of all, you see so much, right? Rewatching it and seeing these beautiful shots.
Right.
Yes, and I'm thinking about like every single time he pans to her feet. There's this scene where they're playing on the boardwalk, and like they're just playing,
tying her shoes,
and then he ties her shoes, and then she's just dancing, and they just focus on the feet, and you're like, man, that's such a good focus, and like they're dancing in the dining room. And they focus on her feet, and I'm like, why does he keep staining this image into my head? Why does he keep showing me this? And like, what, why? Like, you've seen it, you keep seeing it, and then all of a sudden you realize at the end of the movie why you kept seeing it, and he did such a good job with that. I think for people who need to be slapped in the face. Is how I say it. Like, there's some moviegoers who go and like want the whole movie explained to them,
Oh, for sure.
And like, I just think that this guy, he did it with imagery, and like I think it was well done.
No, for sure. There wasn't any moment in this movie that, like I said, like there's not a moment that is wasted, right? And I wanted to point out the kid was a fucking master. The kid is an amazing actor. I don't know who this kid is. He's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, like, even the deeper symbolism, I was just thinking about what you said. You just made me think of this. The deeper symbolism of the scar. He thinks he's this hideous person for having the scar on his face.
Yeah.
And then it just goes back to where he thinks he's this evil person for like falling in love with this Jew while wanting to be a strong Nazi. Then he finally realizes...
But also wanting to be ugly. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
But also wanting to be ugly.
Yeah.
Because he likes her.
Right. Yeah. And then he like finally realizes like, I lied to her and I'm a Nazi and she could be free, but she's going to leave me. And like that symbolism, like just the way he carries that, just the emotions in that, like, you're like, I see why you did that. Good job. Like keep lying to her.
Real.
It's so real. Like, I would have done it. I wouldn't have, no shame. I would have probably done the exact same thing, kid.
I think the fact that he's a kid, it kind of carries a little bit more weight, right?
Yeah.
But totally.
I'm a 30-year-old man, I would have done the same, man.
Taking the slap. I deserved it. Yeah. I would have walked her outside. I would have still done that.
We still would have danced.
Jesus. Oh, man. But I think that throughout the entire thing, him as the kid, what kept the energy from completely defaulting into complete misery. You know what I mean? His performance kept this movie from becoming a complete devastation. Do you know what I mean? Like I think Taika did the delicate dance between making this movie, making it completely devolve into a disaster horror, but not disaster war movie. And he kept it as a disaster war movie, but I think because of the writing and especially because of the kid's performance, it was still a disaster war movie, but it still had a lightheartedness to it that really helped carry you through it and not make it really heavy. There's a version of this movie that's harder to watch.
But damn, Rockwell, man, like he gives this scene at the end that like I like my body was just like, dude, if you're not gonna cry for that fucking mom, you're gonna cry for this. Like this dude, like, and he does it so perfectly. He does exactly what you're rooting for him to do, which is turn that fucking kid around, rip that jacket off, and like shove him. And then like in your heart, he gets killed for it. He risks his life again. This is the second time he risks his life to save this kid. And he knows he's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And like, he knows that the whole time. What I love, let's go back a little bit. What I love is like in the opening of this movie, Sam Rockwell's up making a speech at the camp when they're all at the kid camp to learn how to be a German soldier, and then all the girls there are learning how to give kids to the German army. And Sam Rockwell's like, yeah, here we're losing the war, but I'm not a part of it, so who fucking cares? like from the get-go, they're like, we're losing this war. Yeah. Or we've already lost it. And like that's where this whole movie takes place, is the end of the war where they know they're already losing. They know that there's not much else to fight for. It's that side of the Hitler regime, not the up and coming Hitler regime. And
for sure. That's a through line throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Through line throughout the movie. He sprinkles in there that hey, they know that they're losing the war, and by the end of it that Sam Rockwell knows that, and that's why he let what was the girl's name? The Jewish girl in the closet. That's why he lets her lets her go.
Right.
Because he knows
the birthday's wrong on the passport or whatever it was.
100%. And he may have been the one that told the SS about what this kid told him. Right?
Yeah, he could have thrown him under the bus. But he kind of asked for forgiveness. He's like, I know we're beat. I'm going to get killed anyway. Your mom was a fucking good person. And I think you're a good person. He basically says, in a heartfelt way, like,
100%. Well,
your mom was one of the few good ones, and I think so are you. And I'm like, you can't finish our life. You can't finish your young life the way I am. And he shoves him out. But yeah, the depiction in it, like even when there's like the kid walks in the fucking cardboard fucking Nazi Germany.
Dude, full on, dude. Kids in war, full on dude. The Nazis were not fucking around, dude. It is insane, the things that they were willing to do.
Off topic, funniest moment for me, totally off topic. Laugh out loud moment was when Reek, what's his name? I call him Reek from Game of Thrones.
Alfie Allen.
He's over there getting yelled at because he brings actual German shepherds to the fucking thing. Yeah. He's like, no, I meant dogs, dude, not actual German shepherds.
Jesus. I think my favorite part of it, man, there's two parts. So the beginning of the movie where the kid like just goes full fantasy and just runs up to the group of like little scouts practicing how to throw grenades, and he just runs up there, grabs it from Sam Rockwell, and then forgets to throw it all the way and gets blown up. That was amazing. And then second is actually another Sam Rockwell moment where he comes into the battlefield at the end of the movie when the Russians and the Americans are invading, and he comes out in this costume with Alfie Allen behind him.
The one that he drew with like the fucking like perfect gun that's like painted and he has his like tassels. He has all his his like long tassels off of his shoulder cuffs, and then the big feather in the hat. Like he's like Yankee Doodle before Yankee Doodle was even a thing.
Yeah, 100%.
I love that.
Yeah.
And they got the epic shot too of him just like
with the machine gun, just fucking wrecking shop. Yeah, dude.
I have to admit something.
What?
I loved so many Scarlett Johansson movies. I think she's great, but she's great at being this one character a whole bunch of times. And I really thought this didn't she didn't turn a new cheek. She didn't revolutionize this role or anything, but she definitely opened a door for me in this role to see a softer side of her, that she's kind of like, she doesn't just have to play this one-sided role this whole time in her life, that she can't open up to more. I've always liked her anyway, And I really did love ScarJo in this. And I think
she was warm in a way I'd never felt before from her.
So like you're used to seeing this one-dimensional character from her. And I really think she breaks that plane in this. And she becomes somebody way more heartfelt than you've ever cared to care about in most of her movies. I thought she was great.
For me, the breakout for Scarlett Johansson was her.
Of course.
She was not in that movie. I don't even think she was. No one thought she was going to be the voice.
Ghost in the Shell. That's the movie.
I have not seen that. But is it her, the one I'm thinking about? Her, yeah. It's the one where she plays the AI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the voice. She's the voice in the earpiece.
Yeah. I don't know how she did it, man. That movie made me understand that you don't need to see an actor to really feel something for them. Dude, I fell in love with her in that movie. I don't think that she's ever... I understand what you're saying when she's been playing like a one-note character. I can't say with any confidence that I've seen enough movies that she's been in to really say that. I will say that she's definitely one of the better actresses.
I think I've seen her. I'm sorry. What I meant to say was that I think she gets portrayed in Hollywood. And this is what I actually meant was like, maybe I said something different, but I think she gets portrayed in Hollywood as this one-dimensional actor, as only playing very robotic, one-dimensional characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she has a lot more than that because we've seen so many movies where she can be more than that. Her, like when you look at her character in her, is robotic, but when you actually, watch the movie and everything, I think she breaks that a little bit. I remember her in Chef. I thought she was amazing in Chef. She's done a whole bunch of other things, but like I just remember she's been doing all these Marvel movies for so long that people get to know her for these Marvel movies.
For sure.
Something I just realized because I had to look her up because of the movie I couldn't name earlier. She's rumored to be in Little Shop of Horrors as Audrey.
Wow. Whew.
That's interesting, right?
Yeah. I've always thought she's definitely, she's really successful. And I'd imagine, I want to be as delicate as fucking possible when I say this. But when someone is a pretty blonde, you get hamstringed to certain roles. She did really well in a really, really like breakout indie movie, Translation, right?
Oh shit, yeah.
And she fucking murdered it in that one. And then for a while, she's a beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman. So she got hamstringed with a bunch of roles as the beautiful woman in the movie and playing the roles that those girls would usually play. And then every once in a while, and just because I think her range that she really has catapulted her through that stuff so that where she can actually be doing this small stuff now.
So what do you think of the main character? So I know you talked about him earlier, but I got to figure out his name. Roman Griffin Davis.
Great. He was fantastic, dude. Fantastic. It was the energy. It was the heart. Every scene, I think. Was there a scene without him? It was one of those, because it was a completely him. I think this entire movie was in his perspective. Right?
Yeah.
So there wasn't a single scene without him in it. Like,
dude doesn't have another movie in his IMDb page. His IMDb page is just this movie.
Well, man, he's really young. We're in the middle of a pandemic. I bet Hollywood is
17 nominations and 7 wins under the awards category. That's insane.
Yeah. He was absolutely wonderful. He brought the heart, the light. It's like he wasn't even acting. He was so genuine.
Yeah.
Which brings you like, so understand like how much he actually understood the role and fell into it. And I think Taika did a masterstroke by putting himself in the movie as Hitler. because it also instead of him being also a director, he's also an actor and partner in crime with the kid. And I think that does so much to help inform the performance of the kid and have the kid have some more comfortability in the scenes and have some more confidence in the scenes. And it's, Taika's hilarious, right? But I think him being in the movie with I forget his name, but being in the movie with him helped the kid actually be more confident in his role and be able to portray a character so well that, like, I think as kids we don't want to give them as many accolades as adults, right? Because a kid playing a kid, it's like, whatever, par for the course. This kid fucking, like, he did so well. Yeah. You didn't even know he was acting. He fell into this role, and it was fantastic. And I hope he has a career. But, like, if this is the only movie he ever did, he should be proud of it. Because it's fantastic.
Well, overall, I mean, what do you think of this movie? Do you still think, just got to ask you every time we do this, do you think Parasite should have won Best Picture compared to this?
Compared to this? I'll say this. These two movies have striking contrasts to our times. I watched, what else did I watch? I watched the Martin Scorsese one. So that's the first thing that, like, thinking of all the Best Picture movies, and, like, it's interesting how there's a Nazi movie and then a movie about classism, coming out in the same kind of year, and then we're experiencing our climate in this world. They're so different. I think Parasite beats it out just slightly.
Right.
Because I think that...
you were thinking of The Irishman, right? Like,
The Irishman. Yeah, The Irishman.
Which also was nominated, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Which also it's a gangster movie about the government, too. It's funny how... I think, like, the Best Picture movies, at least to me, I'm sensing a theme of just, like, overarching themes with our current society right now. It's kind of a side thing I'm thinking of. I think Parasite is a better... It's difficult, because the movies are not, it's artistic. They're not meant to be really, compared to each other in a lot of ways. But if we're going to talk about just as movie prowess, right, as a piece of cinema, I think if we're going to make one better than the other, I would say that Parasite just did better at conveying a story without me having to hear any words.
Right. Yeah.
I think there is a technical prowess that Bong Joon-ho pulled off that is definitely a little bit more superior to this movie.
So I'm just I wanted to take that point that you said, because I do feel like, yeah, you're right. The contrasting government, poverty class, socialite kind of type overall theme that keeps going with these movies. And I think it kind of continues in some sort of way throughout the Best Pictures. It is it's a very similar heavy theme. Like, each one, like, there's a theme for these years. Because I'm going back a year, I'm thinking of what was nominated for Best Picture in 2019, for the 2019 awards, as opposed to the 2020 that we were just talking about. And it was it was things like Green Book, which was, racially diverse of an academy that had not been so racially diverse in the past few years. Black Klansman.
Yep.
Black Panther.
Yeah.
And then, like, we'll go further in this. Vice made it, which Vice was like that really dark comedy, well-paced movie that gets in. A Star is Born. It's very much about acceptance and about being totally different and struggling through stuff. Like, it kind of has a very generic theme. Roma which was, oh my gosh! Now that I think about Roma was one of the most beautiful, like, Mexican depictions. I don't know have you seen Roma?
I've seen a lot of it. I haven't seen all of it.
It's a beautiful film. I think the way it ties in at the end is just great. even Bohemian Rhapsody, like you could feel like the same kind of like struggles in that movie. It feels like this year, like these years have very correlating themes each year that we go through. And
For sure.
I don't know if I can say that for all the movies in 2020, but there's definitely a sense of who you feel like is going to win.
For sure,
there's what they're saying in the movie.
There's definitely, yeah. I mean, I think satire is one of the highest forms of art, right? When you're trying to depict the real world through art, and it's kind of the reason art is around, for us to kind of shine a light on things and put a mirror up to things. Mm-hmm. And I think this movie gives you a story. I think this movie conveys something that is really important to a very important thing for us to understand, that like someone can be given and spoon-fed an ideology their entire life, but if you really put if you put the consequences of human life into it, and you start to dissect that ideology and make it affect a person's life in the real way, you can see how that can how a person's idea of what they want to be can change.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what this movie is doing. It's like, to me, there's always two things a movie's supposed to do. There's always the story and the script and what everyone sees on screen, but then there's the underlying context of a movie that drives everything, right? There's the overplot and the underplot. The overplot is about this kid who really wants to be a Nazi, and he finds a Jewish girl hiding in his house.
Yeah.
Hilarity ensues. But the underlying real story of this is a kid who starts to understand that his world well, the thing that he was spoon-fed as a kid his whole life as what he thinks is good and fair is actually something that is terrible, and for some reason makes you hate something that you can still think is beautiful. And I think that's like that's what this movie does. That's why it's so powerful. That's why it deserves to be a Best Picture nomination. I think it does it so damn well that it deserves all the accolades that it gets.
Yeah. I love this. I love this film. I think it was really strong. I hope more people get to see it. I think some people got really missed out on this movie. It wasn't as popular, and it wasn't in the mainstream movie theaters as long as I think it should have been. So sure. Hopefully now, as it becomes on a streaming site or something, that maybe it gets a little bit more attention, because it's a pretty good film. Hopefully in a couple of years, people will be like, I should have watched this film back when it came out.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Fantastic filming. Fantastic.
Yeah. Cool, man. Do we name this thing? I'm Andy.
I'm Arnie.
We're going to talk about some fucking movies today.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, we're talking about some movies. If we're still recording, I want to plug this. I'm on everything on Arnie Diaz 89. My YouTube channel is Arnie Diaz. My podcast feed is the Arnie Diaz Show on every podcasting platform. Just look for that, the Arnie Diaz Show. Do yourself a favor, just watch a movie.
I like that line.